It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag Utah Jazz.
I'm a believer in general that you end up getting evaluated much harsher when things aren't going well for you. Like, people want to see how everybody reacts when it's not going well for them. Everybody is friendly and nice and charming and funny when they're doing great. But I think ultimately we all get judged on our worst day. Raise the floor has been a mantra for our team. Part of development is not just making your best better, it's about improving what your worst day is.
Will Hardy wants his team to raise the floor. That is the mantra here.
Oh, that was deep, man. He's a philosopher now.
Well, it was either that or break down a bunch of losses, so better to go with that.
That's his two choices?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. I'm glad you assigned him that.
Yeah. I guess you can assess each individual young guy in their development.
Or old
He's
guy.
cycled through them. Jazz are hosting the Memphis Grizzlies tonight. John Collins out with an ankle. Lowry Markkanen out with an illness. Jordan Clarkson is questionable. So we get into the last 10 games. Ja Morant has been ruled out for the Grizzlies. Hamstring, they say. So missing a few of the bigger names tonight, but they will tip it off at 7 o'clock anyway, 6 o'clock here on The Zone. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NBA.
Pacers lead by 8. 1 minute gone, third quarter. All alone. Halliburton. Pacers lead by 11.
8-point game. Less than 4 to play. Franz, a 3-ball off bounce. That's cash. Fourth quarter, Franz is here. 109-98. Lead back to 11 with 3:45 to go.
Jalen Smith with the offensive rebound. The send out to Giddey. Top side three. Bam! Big time onions. Josh Giddey with 23.
Booker to his right. Lopez now double teaming. Finds Durant open for 3, and he hit another one. Kevin Durant's made 6 threes tonight on 8 tries. He leads all scorers with 35 to match his number on his back, and it's 101-94. The Suns with their biggest lead.
That game stuff that I'm going to play. And, we all huddled up and got on the same page. And like I said, went through the rehab process and was able to, play tonight. But it was never, a moment in my mind that unless we ran out of games, I wasn't 100%. I wasn't going to play. And then, like I said, seeing these guys, we're playing with 7 guys, and guys, playing 38, 40 minutes, we just don't have enough bodies. Just added a little bit more motivation for me to. I was already motivated to get back, but a little bit more motivation seeing those guys battle each and every night. Like I said, there's no doubt in my mind I was going to come back.
Anthony Davis made his return from an adductor injury that's held him out since February. No doubt in his mind he was going to come back. We don't really have career-ending adductor injuries, do we? I don't think I've heard that phrase before.
I don't even know what it is. I'm not a doctor.
12 points, 6 rebounds, 27 minutes for AD. The Mavericks beat the Nets 120-101. You heard the Suns and the Bucks. Devin Booker, the go-ahead shot with 2 seconds left. The Suns win 108-106. The Suns and Bucks are tied for 10th and the last play-in spot in the West.
The Bucks are not in the West.
Let me try again. The Suns and the Mavericks are tied for the last playoff spot in the West. Jason Tatum left with an apparent ankle injury. Celtics beat the Kings 113-95. Now the Celtics try to get Tatum healthy before the playoffs start. LeBron is back. Magic beat the Lakers 118-106. In the race to the bottom, win number 20 for the Pelicans. They beat the Sixers 112-99. They now got 4 more wins than the Jazz with 10 games to go, so it doesn't look like there's any way the Jazz will come anywhere near those guys. They have pulled away. Wizards did lose to the Raptors 112-104, still sitting on 15 wins and the worst record in the NBA, 1 win less than the Jazz. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NFL.
I want to retire at the age of 30. I'm 23 right now. I'm going into year 3. I think of Aaron Donald like, man, like to go out at the top, I think it would be super cool, but then also be like, yo, like I want to have a big family. Just like I want to have at least a starting 5. I'm like, I came from a big family. So
he
like,
said he want 5.
I need 5 boys. I need 5 boys for sure.
That's cool.
But also be like, man, I want to be able to like be a part of their lives, and like the injuries are something that you can't control part of the game. So like, oh man, like you never know. Hopefully like the rest of your career go healthy, but like man, you have shoulder surgery, you have knee surgery, you have ankle, and be like, yo, like like, by the time my kids could be 18, I'm like, I could be barely walking.
I said I'm soliding it today.
You solidified it today.
Locking it up.
They heard you. They laughed.
I made sure they heard me. So the other than that, it was just making it all about my receivers, trying to throw them catchable balls, make sure not have balls hit the ground. We had a couple. But at the end of the day, you ain't going to be perfect. You always got stuff to get better at.
Everybody gave me crap. They said I called him out. I don't think I really called him out. I just said I was not going to go on a darkness retreat to recruit him. That if he wants to be a Steeler, he can be a Steeler. Like,
right?
It doesn't. That's the pitch. I don't know why everybody thought, oh, Cam's really going at him, and so some fans felt, oh yeah, keep doing that, and the other fans felt like, oh man, you're really gonna scare him off. I'm not scaring anybody off. I just want to win games and play good football.
Steelers defensive tackle Cam Hayward on Aaron Rodgers potentially joining the team. Backtracking or clarifying or continuing to talk about whatever it is Rodgers may or may not do. Still feel like he's destined to be a Steeler as the other landing spots seem to fill up?
It's fate.
It is fate.
Yes.
The stars will bring Rodgers.
Bradshaw, Hanwrighty, Roethlisberger, Rodgers. Look it up.
Hanratty doesn't quite fit, but okay. Oh, you heard Cam Ward in there saying he solidified his draft position as the number 1 overall pick. The
Joe Gilliam.
The Miami Hurricanes quarterback. Looking forward to the draft, which is now less than a month away. April 24th.
Neil O'Donnell. Yeah.
Neil O'Donnell. Puka Nacua, the former Orem High and BYU star, says he wants to retire at the age of 30.
Yeah, don't tell me at 23 what you want to do at 30.
Minds will be changed. Wouldn't be the first player who thought about retiring early and then stayed around. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NHL.
But turns it to Cooley. Good pass there from the captain. Then Cooley gets stapled against the glass by Sider. All the way across. One-timer, Gunther, he scores! Special delivery from Clayton Keller. And Dylan Gunther does not miss.
He should be tired. There's nobody in the league who did that 14 start in a row, so he should be tired. Like, you think Sergey is not tired? You think Larkin's not tired and the others? Kucherov's not tired? It's the NHL. All the players in that league are at this point a little bit banged up or a little bit tired or a little bit wear down, but you need to battle through.
Andre Tourny on Karel Vejmelka, 14 straight starts in goal, beaten by a couple of weird fluttering pucks for the third goal and basically an own goal and a weird bounce in the second one. So they lose 5-1. They had their chances early when it was 1-1 to take the lead, but a couple of breakaways didn't work out. A puck right in front of the net, and they couldn't put it in. And then the chances stopped coming, and Detroit gets an empty netter and another late goal, and they win 5-1. Utah 6 points out of a wild card spot with 11 games left as the math is working against them here late in the year.
I hate weird fluttering pucks. I don't even know what they are. Weird fluttering pucks.
It was like it took a deflection and it was looping. It's like watching a quarterback drop the ball in over a defensive back's shoulder.
All the great ones with the analogies.
Yeah, there it is. What is Trending is brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. We'll talk with Mike Folta, radio voice of the Utah Hockey Club, coming up at 9 o'clock this morning. It's Utah Jazz Ticket Tuesday. We got tickets to see the Jazz and the Rockets coming up Thursday at the Delta Center. We'll give you a chance to win at 8:30 and 9:30 this morning. DJ and PK, we're coming back with a question of the day. Stay with us.
You love your dog. You can't imagine life without him. So it's time to vote for Fido and the rest of his kind.
What up, dog?
It's the Man's Best Friend Bracket Challenge, where you can vote for the best dogs on the planet. Vote now at KSLSports.com. But take your time. We know these decisions can be rough. Really? Rough? Who wrote this?
You better watch yourself, big dog.
It's the Man's Best Friend Bracket Challenge. Going on at KSLSports.com. Powered by IFA. Stop by one of their stores today or visit them online at IFA.coop. IFA, helping to grow the things you love. When it comes to the biggest moments in Utah sports history,
Say
these guys have seen it all. This is DJ and PK. DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Win big every Wednesday on the Zone with Win Ticket Wednesdays. This Wednesday, win tickets to The Offspring in the Supercharged Worldwide in 25 tour. September 6th at the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater. The Offspring with special guest Jimmy Eat World and Newfound Glory. Get your tickets now at livenation.com or listen to The Zone all day Wednesday for your chance to win. Question of the morning. BYU having a season Sweet 16 or 11-2 in football with a bowl win and beating your rival. What's your choice? What do you prefer? Landon, both. It's finally been a fun year to be a BYU fan. Tanner, sounds like we get both. John, Bonnie Groman, I'd say both. It's like all the planets align this year and it won't happen again for another 34 years. Now I got to do the math to find out which season he's referencing. 34 years, very specific. 91 was a good year, I guess. Getting back into Ty Detmer time. Neil, I'm picking the football season. As awesome and as fun as it was, I think the basketball season eclipses it. So he's not picking football. It's basketball. Maybe a little recency bias.
Did he contradict himself there?
A little bit. Both. How about an NCAA championship game, Vernon says? I got BYU beating Duke. That would be a massive upset.
That wouldn't be. They're in the same region, so it can't be.
It wouldn't be the final. They'd have to obviously beat Duke just to get to the Final Four. But an NCAA title win and you beat Duke along the way, you get another shot at Houston maybe. How about that?
Who cares? You can beat whomever. If you got 6 wins in the NCAA tournament, it doesn't matter who you beat and who you don't beat.
Jeremy says it's the Sweet 16. The football team had no business losing to Kansas, even if they were playing better late in the year. We should have been in the college football playoffs. So he had to deal with a little football disappointment. He takes basketball.
Even if disappointment is to come?
Which presumably it is. Anybody got BYU winning at all in the bracket?
Probably somebody. But you're not even halfway there yet.
2 down, 4 to go. Your math is spot on.
I wasn't doubting it.
Shiloh, this is easy. Football all day, every day, and twice on Sunday.
They don't play on Sunday, so 0 times on
Even
Sunday.
though we don't play on Sunday.
No, college doesn't play on Sunday, except for maybe Labor Day. The NFL hasn't started yet.
I would take the football. The health of athletic departments, literally the league you belong in these days, depends on how your football team performs. So I would go football given this choice.
Literally the league you belong in depends on how your football team performs?
Yes, conference realignment has been driven by football.
So that means that, but you're already there.
And it's going to happen again. And you want to be there again, however it ends up transforming itself.
So when the Pac-12 expanded, it was based on the prowess of Colorado's football team. When the Big Ten expanded, it was based on the prowess of Maryland and Rutgers' football team.
Not in those 2 cases now.
I just gave you 3.
But in the last go-round where the Pac-12 broke up, I do think it was built on
So
football
Arizona's
programs.
football prowess was why they got in the Big 12?
And why they didn't get in the Big Ten. Travel partner probably helped. I mean, the Big 12 was collecting as many teams as possible. So
They were? They
Yes.
could have gotten way more if they wanted. There'd be plenty of teams that would, programs, universities that would have said yes.
Geography certainly helped Arizona. But I still think football's the primary driver.
Yeah, I don't know about that, man, as far as what they want in conferences.
Would you take basketball?
Houston was the driving factor.
I think presence in Texas was. Right. Presence in Texas for football. I still think it comes back for football.
So basically all you have to do is have a team. They don't have to have prowess. You're missing the key word there.
No, I know
that's a big word for you.
I think Houston got in over Texas State because they got a better football program, but they're behind Texas and Texas A&M in line. I mean, there's a big line of valuable valuable Texas football teams. I think they have 13 schools playing, and they're in the middle of it, and their number got called.
Their number, and they were ready because their number got called.
They were finally ready. Yes.
When your number gets called, you just better be ready.
Be ready. Rice and UTSA, North Texas.
Bring it in. Take a knee.
Not ready. Not ready.
When their number got called, you are a jock.
That was more DMV, but sure, we could go with jock.
No, more DMV. What's that have to do with
now serving number 3242. 3243 is sitting out there like,
could be the bakery.
Wait another 15 minutes. The bakery. You go to a popular bakery.
Yeah, I used to go to the bakery every Sunday after church on Beverick Road in Parsippany.
What'd you get?
Whatever he wanted. My father and I would go, pull in the bakery. Half the town would be there. You have to take a number. Small town America next to a big city. It was cool. I don't know that your prowess in football has anything to do with it.
So would you take basketball?
Well, they didn't even make the playoff.
They did not.
And here they're in the playoff. And they're one of 16 teams. This is a far bigger accomplishment.
So put all the resources into hoops. Although
has to be one or the other?
Well, yeah, that was the question. I mean, it doesn't have.
And that had nothing to do with the resources.
The question was one or the other. Obviously, a lot of people, as I read, have said both. Take it all.
Yeah, but that wasn't the question. But it had nothing to do with money. This is what would you prefer as a fan? There is no wrong or right answer here. Whatever you prefer as a fan. If you think 11-2 nationally ranked and winning a bowl game in impressive fashion is better than what the basketball has achieved to this level, great. But I do think now, and it's been this way, and it'll be even more pronounced this way, if you're not in the playoff, it's a cut below. At least a cut below.
Yep.
They were fortunate enough that under the circumstances with the contract being that the Pac-12 bowl contracts still have to be honored. I think they have to be honored this year too. Check me on that, but I think
you're right.
A 2-year deal
yeah.
that they got one of the most talked about teams. If they would have got, and Colorado was a decent team, there's no question about that, but if they would have got, say they would have got Iowa State, that would have been a nobody gives a crap bowl.
Right.
If they just flip-flopped Iowa State and Colorado because they end up with the same record and all that.
But you get a high-profile coach,
Yeah.
you get the Heisman Trophy winner,
Yeah.
you get probably the second quarterback taken in the draft, and everybody decides to play. The bowl game could have been watered down very quickly and very dramatically without you having any say-so whatsoever.
So that was a little luck of the draw there, literally. Going forward, I don't know that you're going to get that. And so with that in mind, it's I can't say it's playoff or bust because I can't say, oh, that's a second-rate game. Not when you got a 10-2 team. A 10-2 team is in a great season. Whether you get in or not, it's still a great season. When you lost 2 games by combined 9 points, that's very impressive. So the Cougars had an outstanding season. But the way we set it up now, it is, if you want to go an analogy, it's the playoff And then the bowls that aren't playoffs are the NIT. And you can get some good teams in the NIT. And for whatever reason, they didn't get into the NCAAs. But there's some good players and some good games in the NIT. Just that it seems like as time goes on, unless your team is in it, you don't even really follow the NIT. I mean, I couldn't tell you a thing about the NIT this year.
Got to have a team in it to follow it.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
If the Cougars or the Utes or the Aggies were in it, I would have some knowledge. But I literally have no knowledge of the NIT and who's doing what. I have no idea. And I think for a lot of people, that's what the non-playoff bowls are going to be. If you're in it, and I'm not saying do away with it because something to do, watch on TV, even if it's just background TV.
Yeah.
Or you're watching an NBA game or whatever it might be, and you flick around. If it's a good game, at least for me, if it's a good game, I don't really care who's involved. I can watch it. I might see something that will entertain me. If it's a blowout, I'm going to move along. Whereas if it's a playoff game, I'm going to stick with it most of the game. And I will be locked down on that game, and we'll switch off because if you're an American male and you got a remote in your hand, you're under obligation. It's like registering for the draft. You must do it. You must flick around and see what else is going on. But you have one game you're locked onto that you don't want to miss. But commercials, halftime, timeouts, then you flick around the other stations and see what else is on. That's what I would view the playoff. Whereas a bowl game, not necessarily, unless it's the locals, obviously, and then we have to for work. So I can see where people say the NCAA basketball tournament because it is in the playoff and you're advancing in the playoff, and it's such a big deal. It doesn't capture season-long big deal in the manner that football does, but for those 3 to 4 weeks, depending on how long you can survive, it is a huge deal. I think it's the biggest thing we have in American sports right now. And I actually like that it's a short time because that makes it even bigger.
Makes it a little more special than all the stuff that drags on for 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah. And everybody's just focused in on it. You're talking about it.
Even Major League Baseball, which used to have a short postseason, that's over a month now, it seems like. So they keep adding games and adding rounds.
Hmm? Yeah. About a month, yeah. So I think the way the world, the complexion of sports is set up, I would lean towards the basketball. And the great thing about it is there is a committee, but there's so many teams that get into it that you don't feel like it's a judge's contest to get you in. That's what I always said about the Utes in the Rose Bowl. When the 4-team playoff, whether they're going to be in or not, blah, blah, blah. The great thing about when they went to the Rose Bowl, it was it wasn't a beauty contest. It was settled on the field. And if you did this, this, and this, you got in. You didn't need somebody sitting in some room in Dallas to appoint you.
It was very professional in that regard.
And I do think to a large degree, because of so many teams in basketball, you take away that beauty contest element. Now, we had West Virginia seemed to be in, but their coach was out the door.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, and so, he suffered. No. And you obviously, you're having talks as you're still on the other job. These things happen so quick.
They must have talked.
Yeah.
There's no other way around it.
Right.
The curtain came down on the season, and he was packed and gone.
Yeah. And there's just simply no way that stuff can be done in such a short amount of time. So I don't really bleed for West Virginia. They bleed for themselves, and it was an outrage, and somebody wanted to sue the world or whatever for
Yeah,
it. But
well,
then that story went away as quick
It
as
went
it got
away. The
there.
governor just had a press conference. But the tournament's going to 76. They're going to move the bag back, so it'll be somebody else next time.
Yeah, I don't think there's any big national outrage for the 77th. I hadn't heard that it's going to go to 76.
It isn't official yet, but I think that they've talked about it so much, it seems like they're going to do it.
Whatever. I really have I don't care one way or the other. Here, everything that the Cougars have gotten has been earned and undisputed. And in football, it still is a little bit of a beauty contest. And it does favor the power teams. But because there's few slots, it seems more pronounced. I mean, I think it favors the power teams in basketball. But there's no really big outrage because all those one-bid conferences, they simply celebrate going. That's the accomplishment. And if they lose, well, it doesn't really matter.
Since I went to a conference that has one big, I can tell you that's 100% spot on. And the one
You
time
went to
that
a school
UCSB
in the conference.
One time UCSB won a game, it was a big old party, and it hasn't happened since.
But nobody really cares.
Nope. The goal is to get there.
Yeah.
To go dancing.
Right.
And then in the moment when somebody beats you by 2 points or whatever, and they've come close.
Yeah, but
It's sad,
nobody cares.
But no coach is getting fired over that.
No.
That's
He's
not
getting
happening.
an extension.
Or he's getting a new job. One or the other.
And nobody from the Big West goes anywhere. I'm not even sure they want to go anywhere.
Well, UC Irvine's had their coach forever, and they've been the best team in the league, so that's a strong point. Yeah.
And UC San Diego, I mean, this guy's done phenomenal work.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't his name being bannered about?
Yep.
I mean, you're in Santa Barbara.
You're in Southern California.
Yeah,
you're making good money.
Yeah.
What the heck? Let's just keep doing
right.
this.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah. Get on the Randy Ray plan.
Yes. What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with it.
If you're happy,
coach basketball for a long time and you don't want to do it anymore, go play golf in Florida and bike around Europe.
And you're having fun?
Yeah, Randy's crushing it.
South Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're fine over there. Don't bother me. I'm good. They are.
I'm not
and I have zero problem with that.
I'm not leaving 72
In fact,
degrees.
I actually admire that. You're not chasing, you're not hopscotching here and there and trying to maybe you can get this or that. You're content. You're making decent money. You're coaching ball.
It's a great day to be a mountain a Hawkeye.
Yeah, you bounce around, the rat race, and you got your teams that you're competing against. And basically, everybody's even. And away you go. To me, that sounds awesome. If you're content with that, not everybody has to chase the ultimate and get involved in all that. And then the more you go, the slimier it gets. I don't think anybody's expecting $5 million to go play at Riverside.
No, that would be a shock.
Right.
I am curious what their number is or what it's evolving to if it's going up.
Well, probably, but. You can find out.
Yeah,
That's somebody.
Yeah.
But those kids, they're to a large extent, they're playing for the love of the game, which seems so outdated and so unrealistic and so phony now. But the smaller you get, I think the more it's true. I don't know that it's 100% authentically true.
Yeah, I think that we need to have on as we go through. We'll do a spring football tour here pretty soon. I think we need to have on the. Coach down from Utah Tech. I think they've seen guys. You should go to Utah Tech, man. They can get you to Colorado State. They can get you to San Jose State. They've had a lot of football players move through that program and go on to good programs, go on to better programs at the higher level. Yes, Lance Anderson, the former.
Well, I was talking
Stanford
basketball. I think football's a different sport because guys get under-recruited. It's so much about your heart and your determination, blah, blah, blah. Basketball, it's about your skill.
Those big sky guys who are 6'3" and 185 pounds.
I was talking about basketball, where your skill is your skill, and it's hard to get more, whereas football, it's your skill, but, man, it's a lot about your heart and your desire and
the weight room.
Scataboo. I'm determined to just run you over, and I'm going to do all the stuff that I could do. You know what I mean?
Big Sky to Big 12.
You don't really see that. You see it. You do see it a little bit, but I'm talking about guy. You see it more frequently. And I don't know that Big West guys are bouncing around, but some of them are.
Mountain West guys are.
Yeah, and there's been one like we're going to see Alabama here. Their leading scorer, Sears, went to Ohio, not Ohio State.
Ohio, out of the MAC.
Yeah, that's where he started. And they said, I was listening yesterday to some national thing, and they said yesterday that the AP top 15, which is like 3 teams, the 3-team All-Americans, 7 of them had started in a non-power place. So you definitely,
interesting.
Yeah, that's what they were talking about.
And one of them had to be Duke star. Who's a freshman.
What do you mean?
Cooper Flagg? You're talking to 15, right? It was AP All-Americans? Cooper Flagg was one of the 15, right?
I would assume so,
yeah. So there's one spot. That guy's not moving around.
So then half.
One and done, yeah.
If you and obviously he went from the prep school, although he moved around in high school.
There you go.
Yeah.
A common story.
Right. As the money got better at that level, his twin is still stuck playing basketball in Maine. He blew away Maine a long time ago.
I'm moving on up.
Yeah. I think, what is it, IMG?
In Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a system that's, common in Europe. That they
go to the academy.
Yeah, that they identify you. I mean, we look at Demon, and as a youngster, he's leaving Russia to go to Spain because he's identified, rightly so, a phenomenal talent here, for sure. And so they do that type of stuff. But I don't think that in football, the way we are now, it's about the playoff. And I think we as a country have evolved in what did you do in the postseason? And what BYU is doing in basketball, even though to me it's not eye-opening yet.
Please explain. This was possible? Is that what you're getting at?
I will.
I
will when we come back.
Okay, fine. PK's handling the teases this morning. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone.
The first week of the NCAA tournament is over.
Isn't that sweet?
And the Cougars just keep on dancing.
Got it! Richie Saunders!
As the Cougars move on to New Jersey, the KSL Sports Zone will be with the team every step of the way.
Oh, Keita from behind with the pancake block.
Your home for every shining moment of the BYU Cougars in the NCAA tournament is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. 20 years and still going strong. Utah's #1 sports radio show for over 2 decades. You're listening to DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Band of the day is Elton John. It's brought to you by Live Nation. Elton was born on this day in 1947. He's 78 years old. For all the live concerts and events in 2025, check out livenation.com.
Yeah, good for him. May he live a long life. Longer than he already has. Why not?
You were telling us before the break.
Yeah.
You wanted to come back and explain.
Explain what?
Please do.
What am I explaining?
I don't know. You wouldn't tell me.
What was the topic?
We started off with college football, college basketball. BYU's had big seasons. Which would you prefer?
Right. But what was I saying specifically?
I don't know. You wouldn't tell me.
I know we were on the topic. Christian, what was I saying specifically?
You wouldn't spill the beans.
On what?
Whatever it is you wanted to tell us. Have you forgotten, or are you just messing with us?
You guys have forgotten.
I don't know what you were going to say.
Yeah, I got that, but you know the topic.
Yes.
And
I just told you.
No. We were talking about Big West coaches and all that. We had evolved
much
more.
What did you evolve to?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You don't remember. You don't listen to me. You hurt my feelings. Jeez. We're talking about BYU.
Yeah.
We're talking about their basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to you, and you will, now that I say this, you will recall it. I said, they have really done nothing that we, at least myself, didn't see coming. This is not a shocker. That's what I was saying.
And why is that?
Because I think they're really good. I'm not saying don't celebrate, don't go meet them at the airport, don't go crazy. That's not the point. The point is that this is a really good basketball team, and it doesn't come as a surprise that they beat either of these teams. Now, celebrate wildly if you want to. I'm not downplaying it whatsoever. I am actually the other way. I am complimenting them to the highest level. It was a very emotional game, and you go to the Sweet 16 and you beat Wisconsin by 2, and you have an incredible defensive stance, blah, blah, blah. Celebrate, jump up and down, spray water, go nuts, do cartwheels, dance to your heart's content in the locker room, do all that stuff.
But they were a 1-point underdog, so we can't say they shocked the world because it was a 1-point underdog. Of course they had a chance to do it.
They're a really good team. And it is not any big upset that they're here. They're not long shots to be here. They have won 11 out of 12. They have gone into difficult places and won. And I expect them to compete extremely well Thursday evening. And I would not be surprised at all if they won. I don't care who's a 2 seed, a 1 seed, a 3 seed, blah, blah, blah. They beat Duke. That's
shocked the world territory.
Yeah, that's Duke. And this is one of the finest teams Duke has ever had, as far as I'm concerned. And so we'll see if Duke gets past the U of A. I think they will. And then that. But this is a team that should have its success taken in stride. When DeBonsa was on television and he announced BYU, old Steve Smith was like stunned. What?
That'd be Stephen A. Smith if you're not following along.
Even though he had been committed and been signed for weeks, they wanted to have the dog and pony show. So be it. And Smith acted stunned. Not this level, not stunned that they're doing this. Not at all. I believe they're really, really good. And what's the word? Maybe the impressive thing. I hate the word scary in sports. Nothing is ever scary. Unless you have some like nasty injury like Juju Watkins had for USC on the women's side last night. Is that you can argue, man, that they're just barely getting started.
You can argue that pretty easily.
That's what's great about this.
That's pretty straightforward.
I don't know if it's true or not.
You think this could be the peak?
Well, it depends on how he constructs his roster. Because you got to be careful with the one and dones. And you take them if you get them because they're really good, obviously.
But 18 and 19-year-olds do have a problem beating 22 and 23-year-olds. A lot of the best players in the draft either didn't make the NCAA tournament or are already out. Texas and Oklahoma have high picks on their rosters, but they went out immediately. Rutgers didn't make it. Duke's making the deep run. So I do think how they spend their money, spend your money wise. Well, this is not just them. This is for everybody. How much you want to spend the money on 18 and 19-year-olds is just a philosophical question that they should be having at BYU. Utah should be having it with Alex Jensen and his new staff, and every other school you want to list should be having it.
I don't know if you're going to have those discussions.
How much are freshmen going to win you?
I think you're going to take – if a top-flight player wants to come, you're going to take him. It may be a double-edged sword, but you have no choice but to take him.
I guess it depends what your definition is of top player. And I guess
a
you
top
could
10 pick.
I guess you could argue that some of those top 10 picks just didn't have enough around them. That it's not their fault. They didn't miss the tournament or go out in the first round of the tournament because the freshman wasn't good enough. Maybe in some cases we'd have to sit there and watch all the games, and I didn't. I don't think you did either. There wasn't time for that. I mean, we heard from multiple people the roster construction. Ken Pomeroy came on and said Rutgers, their third and fourth best players, they aren't good enough. They're just guys.
But he has to take those guys. They want to come. You take them. I don't think that's the discussion.
If you spend, depending on what your NIL budget is, if you spend it all on them,
you take them.
Because
of the top talent. Recruiting is about getting the best talent.
Right, but would you rather have one great player or 5 good players? I mean, this is all hypothetical without knowing what each player is going to require from NIL, what they're going to cost.
That's not the way recruiting goes. Nobody turns down these guys. You take the best players. It's up to you then to get other players that can fit around him and be really good. There's no one who's saying, no, AJ, sorry, we don't want you. Especially now more than ever. Because then you can go ahead and pluck guys off other rosters.
But I can see where there might be players who say, or programs who say, we can't go to that number.
Oh, yeah,
so
you can't afford it.
They're not saying, they can't afford it because they're spending money on somebody else.
No. They can't afford it.
No.
No one is saying, no, sorry, AJ, you're not going to come here. We're not going to take you. No one is going to say that.
Right, but he's also is he the extreme example?
He's the extreme example, but there's an extreme example every year.
Well, there is a number one player every year, yes.
Right.
But when we hear the 25 and 26 drafts are better, I assume that's because Cooper Flagg and AJ DeBonsa are better than a lot of number one picks. In the Markelle Fultz year, are people going to be talking the same way? I mean, somebody will, because somebody will take him.
There would be no one who would say, no, we're not going to take Markelle Fultz. Now, he ended up being a bust. But so what? That doesn't matter. That's at the pro level. They're always going to take those guys.
Well, Ben Simmons would be an example. I mean, there was a ton of hype for Ben Simmons, and he went to LSU, and they didn't make the tournament. And then he was the number one pick, and there was briefly some success, and then it all fell apart.
But that's at the pro level. That has
right.
Who cares?
But at the college level, you still missed the tournament, so there's an argument to be made. Don't go get the best player.
No.
Go get 5 good players, because the one great player isn't going to be enough.
Go get 5 great players.
Well, that would be awesome, but you don't have the checkbook for that.
Says who?
In most cases. All the schools that don't end up with the 5 best players. Here, $20 million for everybody. You could have the 5 best players.
Really?
Maybe what UCLA did back in the day. Ayo.
Well, then they already did that because that was illegal. That they weren't allowed to do that. No, I don't think that that's the case. I think I want to be the star. I'm not going to go share the spotlight with him.
Playing time, shots, FGAs, baby.
Right. I want the offense to revolve around me. All those types of things. Right. So I don't.
There's certainly that out there, but then at some point, it's like you were saying yesterday. Why is so and so sitting on the bench? The paycheck. The money.
That was told to me over the weekend.
Right. So everybody makes their own decision because one person will do it, but the next person, you're right, the next person is like FGA's playing time.
Yeah.
It's herding cats. Can't get everybody on the same page.
But I don't think there's any coach who's turning down the top talent.
It's not so much turning down as deciding to no longer pursue. You're out there and then the check is in stratosphere and we're not paying that. We need money for these other guys over here.
So there's only one program then in the country that won't outbid us. No.
Well, I think in the case of DeBonsa, didn't it come down to like 3 or 4 teams met the threshold? They set the threshold at like $5 million.
Yeah.
But that means Team 14, Team 12, Team 10 did drop out like, we're not going to that threshold. They might have that budget, but then they got nothing for everybody else.
You just assigned yourself that.
Worked out pretty well for me, didn't it?
I don't think he was looking at 14 schools that were going to go.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Christian, you still chasing?
Yeah, we got Dick Harmon coming up next.
Dick Harmon?
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds good to me.
There you go. Cougar history. BYU to the Sweet 16 for the third time in 50 years. We'll talk with Dick Harmon next, right here on The Zone.